Okay, seems like this morning the announcement that I made, this is little, I was a little confused, is my confusion. Today the timetable will be followed as usual, and it's tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, I have to go to the Tibetan community to give a talk there. And if any one of you are interested, I may request Chola Tudansonla to translate in English. Yes, so those of you who are interested, you can come with me, and the distance, the logistics, and so forth, you can discuss with. So we have the organizers here, and okay. So with this mind, first I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become Buddha to benefit sentient beings. I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Joda Zoge Jonam Lo Chanju Pado Tane Gyapso Che Sonam Ge Jola Benjire Sangye Jubara Isho Sangye Joda Zoge Jonam Lo Chanju Pado Tane Gyapso Che Dage Jinso Kebe Sonam Ge Dola Benjire Sangye Jubara Isho Sangye Joda Zoge Chonam Chanju Bardo Dane Gyapso Che Dage Jinso Kebe Sonamge Dola Benjire Sangye Jubara Isho Om Ye Dharamam Hetu Prabhavam Hetu Gato Hyavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Swaha Om Yedarama Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Hyavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Hyavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation causes as well as taught by the great seer. Okay, continue from where we left this morning. Page number 146, verse number 30, and we from 29, the last line, which reads, knowing this and cultivating meditative concentration that transcends the four formless states is a practice of a bodhisattva. So what are the four formless states? Last time we were talking about the whole samsara, they grouped into three categories. What are they? Desire realm, form realm, and the formless realm. So desire realm, of course, within that we see that there's six realms. The three lower realms, what are they? Animal realm, hungry ghost realm, hell realm. And then the three higher realms, what are they? Human realm, demigods or asuras, and then the deva or the gods. Six within the desire realm. And then so when you talk about the deva realm, deva the god, God, again, we see that the within desire realm there's a God realm. Within desire realm there's a God, but that God realm is very low standard. The form and formless both fall under category of the God realm. Form and formless also fall under God realm, but there is a very high level God, whereas the God within the desire realm is a low level God. It does not require very refined meditative states. It's the result of the virtues that you take birth there. But in the form and formless, to take birth there, you require advanced level of the meditative concentrations. So the form realm, we divide that into four, into, so it's very simple. Form realm before is very simple. The four concentrations. First concentration, second concentration, third concentration, and fourth concentration. And for this, how to reach to these each of these levels, they're already they've own very distinctive meditative states described there. Then the next is the formless. Formless, within that again, we see that there are four. Formless, there are four. What are they? Infinite space, infinite consciousness, vacuity, peak of existence, or peak of samsara. Okay, so those of us who are new to this, you may be wondering that they already know. Yes, they learned it. You can also learn it. That's not difficult. Say the first one is infinite space. The formless divided into four. Number one is infinite space. Number two, infinite consciousness, vacuity, and peak of existence or slash samsara, peak of samsara or peak of existence. Okay, let me quickly explain these four. This would be helpful for us in otherwise as well, not necessarily only with the formless. This will give you some idea about the meditation. With the meditation, how you can say, for example, there are many meditative objects, say, like the breath as a meditation object, or sensations as a meditative object, emptiness as a meditative object, or like the say the Buddha image as a meditative object, or some people even use the flames as a meditative object, and some emptiness, bodhicitta. So meditative object, there are so many kinds. Now, the if you learn these four distinctions, the distinctive features of these four, and how these four are set in this order: infinite space, infinite consciousness, vacuity, and the peak of existence, then you will come to get some idea as okay, now say the choosing the breath as a the meditation object was a benefit, choosing the sensation as a meditation the object, why not I choose something different than this? So all these you'll get a very good picture if you understand these four the divisions of the four formless states. Okay, the first is the, what is the first one? Infinite space. Infinite space. Okay, so desire realm is marked by our mind, which is directed towards the external sensual objects. These beings are born there in the desire realm. Then with this, the how many you have experience? For example, even the books. Let's say some books, they're extremely refined. Even the binding, the paper cutting, they're so refined. And some books they're very crude. Likewise, mobile or even a table or anything, even a cup, even a mug. Some are so refined, so delicately done, and some are very gross. How many have noticed such things? Raise your hands. Yes. So this is what we see in a day-to-day life, but we never know how to apply this in the real, in our meditative, in your progress, in our progress, your progress, my progress. So we have to keep growing ourselves. You have to grow. I have to grow. We each have to grow in our mind, mental thinking. So there, we never think about these things. Now, the these people, the practitioners, who see that somehow with external there's always a problem, external material things, there's some problem there. There's some problem there. You recognize. So how do they, some people they come to such a realization, and others don't. Others so infatuated with the material things. So how come there's such a difference? It's of course again from the past life. From the past life, this is what we brought from the past life, and to simply explain purely on the basis of this material, this world, you cannot explain that. It's purely from your past life, and the same. So those people, for example, like what we're doing here, so we put a little bit of effort in the meditation on a daily basis, and that too in a very systematic way, not just a chaotic meditation, not as just what we call as the what, the popular meditation, like mindfulness, just to calm your mind. No, there's a bigger goal there. With a bigger goal, you do the meditation with more refined meditation. Then they say in your next life, you are born, you can be seen as a little different, a child from others, that you're more calm. Things will not actually irritate you so easily. You're more sensible, you're more drawn inward, meaning that more contemplative. Like for example, the great teacher, just Narupa. Just Narupa is amazing. When he was born with such a quality. So where he would never go into unnecessary, the conflicts and unnecessary judging on others, unnecessary, and like, feeling irritated, abusing others. Nothing of this. He is so calm, composed, and even with the games he would do, for like small children, they use this sand to make some castles. He would make stupas. And then during the small children's game, he would sit as the giving teachings, as a little boy, age 4 or 5, and the minister's children, they were all there, and they serve as the students. So like these things have, and then later on, by the age 13, he was so deeply into the, say, the emptiness concept and so forth at the age of 13. Then finally he went to, from central India, he went to Kashmir, because Kashmir was a great hub for the Buddhist learning. He went there. Again, after completing his course there, he brought 17 panditas, 70 scholars with him, because he was a prince. His parents could afford all this, and 17 panditas. And in the palace, every day he was discussing with these pandita scholars, discussing, debating, meditating, and so forth. And the parents, they were so worried, because the reason why he was born is just to to make sure that there was an heir to the king, and he had a sister, and then so they were desperately having a son to be the heir, and and then he was interested in dharma, not into the mundane, the things. So this was what he was like. So if we in this life we can put some effort in our own ways, practice of compassion, practice of the patience and so forth, and then next life this will be demonstrated very easily. So with this in mind, what happens? Some people, they're born with a sense of inward contemplation, reflection, rather than always going outside, engross outside. So these people going to this meditation, then they tend to see the difference between the external physical forms, and within the physical forms, yes, some are gross, some are subtle. Physical form of the desire realm is seen as so gross, and the physical form of the form realm is extremely subtle. So you could see difference there. So with this difference, then you deliberately practice aversion to the physical form of the desire realm, and appreciation to the physical form of the form realm. So these people, through the meditative state, they take birth in the form realm. Then you reach to one level whereby that the physical form is again extremely gross in comparison with the, say, the space there is no gross tangible thing there. It's very subtle. For example, let's say the people who have no exposure to, say you always, say when you go out, you eat in very simple, the what, simple small restaurant where the food is very gross. Gross meaning dust is there, and then you eat. Always do that, and then gradually you become financially, you become better. You're able to eat in a better restaurants, and gradually you eat in a five-star hotel. They income from suddenly jumping from the some very gross or very simple, the dhaba, meaning the place where you get the easy food. From there, jump to the first hotel. You can see such contrast there. Wow, is that divine? But if you keep eating there in the first hotel, you will miss your home food. There's no comparison with the home food. Then even the five-star hotel food you cannot eat. When you're so used to your home food, you will see the something problem there. I'm not going to speak too much about that part. So you'll start to see the problem there. So likewise, physical form, however so delicate of the subtle of the form realm, and the one tend to then see the difference between the physical form and the space. At the moment, for us, space means nothing. When your mind becomes more subtle, then you see that the space is way subtle in comparison with the physical form. In the physical form, to see that it's very gross. So your mind will move from the gross physical form to the space. So then deliberately, then these practitioners, they practice on the meditative concentration to see the whole universe pervaded by space, no physical form. Just deliberately meditate on this, and when you succeed in this, it is known as the meditative concentration of the infinite space. Then when you reach that, still is not the end of the story. Then you see something better. That is, even the space, it is outside there. It's outside there. It's outside there. It's very gross in comparison to your mind. Mind, which is way subtler than the space. Because space, eyes can see that. Your eyes can see the distance, the space between you and me. You can see this. But your mind, your eyes cannot see your mental consciousness. Your mental consciousness is way, way subtler. Then you direct your meditation on the mental consciousness, just the whole universe pervaded by the mental consciousness, just the mind, even no space, no physical form, no space, just the mind pervaded. And when you succeed in this meditation, then you attain what is known as the meditative concentration of the infinite consciousness. Then, then the next is that consciousness is extremely subtle. The physical form, the space is something which you can visually see, but the mind, you cannot see that, but you can experience it. When you reach that level, again you go to the next level, whereby, so the mind is an object. So still the mind, your subject has to get to the mind as an object. So subject object duality. But this again, there's some coarseness there in comparison with the absence of the object. So it drops the object, vacuity. Next is vacuity, where the object is dropped. Now what is the object? Vacuum. Vacuum. You drop any object, just stay in the experience of the subject. That is known as the vacuity. Again, when you succeed in this, you attain the meditative concentration of the vacuity. So what next? Now object is dropped. What is left? Only subject is left. Your own mind. So even that, they see that as a problem. Even the mind, this is a problem. So what they try to do is they also try to drop the mind. They try to drop the mind, but the mind cannot be dropped because mind falls under the category of impermanent phenomena which never stops. You remember that? Whose continuum never stops. Mind, you cannot stop the mind. So therefore, you cannot drop the mind, but you can make the mind subtler. What do you mean by subtler? Subtler has many connotations. Subtle has many connotations. For example, say when you are very, say the okay, say that you're preparing for the competitive exams. and you have some very complicated physics problems to be solved. There, your mind is restlessly active. Do you think that this mind can be used to solve the mathematical problems, physics problems? Yes or no? No. So there, your mind should be calm. You're getting it? Calm. So that mind becomes subtler. And then the say while you are in a waking state versus you fall asleep. Falling asleep, the mind becomes subtler. So the mind becomes subtler. So deliberately, they try to make the mind subtler because the mind cannot be dropped. Mind becomes subtler. So that is known as the peak of existence. And this is also referred to as the meditative concentration with awareness and without awareness, or with discrimination without discrimination. This particularly meditation is known as meditation with discrimination and without discrimination. Why it is known as the with discrimination without discrimination is because that it is the with discrimination, because that you cannot, discrimination is the element of the mind. The mind to distinguish things. And what happens that say, because there is a mind, you cannot drop the mind completely. So the mind continues. There is a discrimination because there's a mind there. Now to say that there's a mind is also known as the without discrimination. The mind with discrimination, without discrimination. Why is known as without discrimination? Because that, for example, when somebody falls asleep, there's a mind. But outsiders, when you look at the person, but the person's dead or not, you just shake. And if the person doesn't come out, then you may say that, oh, this person may be dead. But if the person wakes up, then you say, oh, he was not dead. So say it is like in a sleeping state where you don't see the discrimination, you don't see the active mental state. So therefore, this state is known as meditative concentration with discrimination and without discrimination. These are the formless states. What are they? Infinite space, infinite consciousness, vacuity, and peak of existence. 4. And now from this experience, let's say that some people take the, say, visual image of the Buddha as a meditation object, and some people choose the breath as a the object of meditation. Some people take your own mind as a meditation object. Some people take the emptiness as a meditation object. So now, if you know these 4 things so well, and not just intellectual know, also try to relate this to your own experience, little bit by bit. Then you see that they're focusing on the physical objects, and they say keeping your mind blank, or just focusing on the breath, focusing on your sensations. Just see the differences. You'll gradually get experience to see that there are differences. And then these 4 will make total sense. So Buddha's first teacher, who is that? Acharya Alarikala. He reached the level of the vacuity, meditative concentration, vacuity, second last. And then the second teacher, Acharya Udrega, he reached the meditative concentration of the peak of existence. The peak, that's the highest level of the meditative state. Yet, even he was not liberated because a meditation requires 2 things. One is it should be extreme. The light requires 2 things. One, the light should be very bright, and the light should be steady. So they focus on the steady part, the steadiness part, and they do not focus on the brightness, which is the emptiness. They do not know that. So that part is missing, because without the emptiness meditation, there's no freedom. That's for sure. And how do we know that? You try to study emptiness, contemplate emptiness, get some feel of emptiness, then you will see the difference between effect of the emptiness meditation, effect of compassion meditation, effect of the single point meditation, effect of the sensation meditation, effect of the breathing meditation. You will see the difference. You see the difference, how they affect. And with the emptiness, instantly the mental systems will just quell like this. Meditation impermanence, it will not be so fast like this. It will be a very slow process. And meditation compassion, it will not compare the object, it will just keep the object and like the mother, okay, it's okay. This is how the compassion meditation helps to quell your afflictions. And whereas the meditation on the single point meditation, sensation, so forth, the afflictions will not be combated. They just stop reacting. Reaction stops. Reaction stops, that's it. And the trigger for the afflictions can arise anytime. Whereas with the wisdom emptiness, the trigger dissolves. And this is, so we have to study all these things ourselves and practice it yourself. If you don't practice it, keep just learning and learning, then it's no benefit. So you learn these all different things: meditation on sensation, meditation on the breath, meditation on emptiness, meditation on compassion. Learn all these things and try to, it'll take time. It's not that easy. It'll take time. Learn this, practice it yourself, and then gradually, once you get some understanding, experience of each of these, see to the difference in how they manage the emotions. Okay, good. So this is the second last line of verse number 29. Knowing this and cultivating meditative concentration that transcends the four formless states is the practice of Bodhisattva. So here, transcends the four formless states, meaning that just by being there in the four states of the formless, like the true teachers, Acharya Alarkam, Acharya Udrika, and then what transcends it. So now with respect to the skill point of meditation, there's nothing beyond this. This is the ultimate. But the true teachers, they still could not be liberated. Why? Because there is the factor which otherwise will help us to transcend. That factor is missing. What is that factor? The wisdom of emptiness. Okay. Meditative concentration with the wisdom, with the emptiness of the object, that will help us transcend the four formless states, is the practice of Bodhisattva. Okay, now the practice of the first five perfections, but without wisdom, cannot achieve perfect enlightenment. Although you practice in first five, but if you don't have the wisdom, so wisdom is the one which actually, okay, now tell me, is there anybody who can tell me, or say these two lines, the practice of the first five perfections, but without wisdom cannot achieve perfect enlightenment. Can you explain this rationally? Can you explain it rationally? How, without the wisdom, the perfect enlightenment cannot be attained, even though you have the first five practices? The lady over there, what is Sudeep? No, what's your name? Sudeep Daiji. Yes. Okay, the how. How, without the wisdom, right? With the first five perfections cannot take us to enlightenment. How? Angela? Angela will never utter a word till she is 100% confident. I can sense it, right? Okay. Anyone? Yes, David. Say it again. So the question is, without the wisdom, even though you are intact with the first five perfections, how these five will not take us to enlightenment? Dojila? Why? Yes. Okay. चलो तुम समझ ला. Uh, yes. Okay. So without wisdom, no wisdom means no light, means in darkness. No light By the very definition, no light means you're already in dark. So without wisdom means you are already in ignorance. So with ignorance, that is samsara, that is the unenlightened state. Okay, good. The anyone else? This is a perfect way of saying, and there are many other ways of saying the same, putting it the same way. Ashiji, without the wisdom, even though you have the first five perfections, how come that these five will not take us to enlightenment? Okay, how the wisdom helps? How the wisdom will help us to attain the enlightenment? Okay, Jabila, Jabi, are you sure? You know, you already gave the answer several times earlier. Without how the wisdom contributes to attaining enlightenment. This is a simple thing. And how it is put here is that with the six perfections, even though you have the first five perfections, but without wisdom, these five will not take us to enlightenment. This is one way of putting it. Another way of putting it is that how does the wisdom take us to enlightenment? As simple as that. How? Shubhrotoji. Yes, Sesanla. Okay, don't talk about the five. How the wisdom takes us to enlightenment. No, my question is, how does the wisdom take us to enlightenment? No, so this is my question. So even though you have the five perfections, but without the wisdom, you cannot attain enlightenment. You getting it? Why the wisdom is required? Okay, Shubhroto. Okay, Shubhroto is trying to explain. Of course, the wisdom has many layers. And the wisdom that we are referring to here is the wisdom of emptiness, of course. It is the wisdom of emptiness. So you're trying to explain what this wisdom of emptiness is. You're not explaining how the wisdom is taking you to enlightenment. Odin. Okay, so the Odin is saying first become enlightened and then you practice. Practice is for to attain enlightenment. What you said is correct. What is correct? If you do not add additional word, you're correct. If you do not add the word practice after enlightenment, that's correct. Okay. In other words, you're saying is the wisdom is required to remove the stains, remove the metal stains. What is enlightenment? Enlightenment is the mental mind where the metal stains are removed. You're getting it? So what helps us to remove the stains? The wisdom. You're getting it? So therefore, without without the wisdom, it is like, say, there's a huge poisonous tree there. You have to cut the poisonous tree. Poisonous tree is the metaphor to the mental defilements. And then the say, okay, we need this to be cut. I need somebody who's very strong. And I see that who's strongest. Maybe Shirikant is strongest. So we bring Shrinkar. He's young, very energetic, strong. So I'll bring him. And then he needs food, right? Also, we say the Vikraj, the Jigme Wangchuk. Jigme Wangchuk brought food for him because we need energy, right? And then, okay, now start, right? Where's the eggs? Where's the eggs? He'll ask this question. Where's the eggs? Eggs is a metaphor for wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness. When that is missing, what would you do? Even though the strongest person, young, strongest person, with the food, everything's intact, but you can't do anything without the eggs. So the eggs is required. And meanwhile, what cuts is the eggs. But for this eggs to cut, the person, strong person should be there, strong person with the willpower. And just hit it two times, And then, oh no, it's very difficult, then I'll do tomorrow. It'll not work. So, and then also with alongside, we need to be very practical. We need other things. So the person, the food, water, these things required. These are known as these are like the first five perfections. X is like the sixth perfection of wisdom. So this is what is required. Okay, good. 31. Oh no. Yes, 30. The practice of the first five perfections, but without the wisdom, cannot achieve perfect enlightenment. Equipped with skillful means and cultivating the wisdom of non-conceptualizing the three spheres is the practice of a bodhisattva. Okay, so what is that wisdom? So now it's describing non-conceptualizing the three spheres. This is explaining what the wisdom is like. For example, let's say that you come to Buddhapata, say, okay, I will a little bit of the break. So I'm so tired of meeting with my, colleagues or my family members, whatever, my family members, my colleagues. I'm so tired. I want a short break. I'll go to Buddhapata. This is what is happening. This is retreat happening. I'll go there just for my break, not necessarily for the class. So you come here. And then for what? Said your mind will be at peace. And your complicated colleague also comes. He also needs break because you are the complicated person for him. And then you see that person, what happens? Instantly, sense of the break, sense of holiday stops in your mind. The person did not do anything. Why you feel disturbed? Anyone? Why you feel disturbed? Because the person serves as a trigger. Cognitive, your mind cognitively, you see that this person, complicated person is here. So this cognitive thought process is a discrimination that transpires into the feeling, unpleasant feeling. You don't want this unpleasant feeling, so the intention will resist. So resistance comes in. That is a disturbance. You're getting it? So we see that in it, there are three things involved, three spheres. We're talking about three spheres. Of non-conceptualizing the three spheres is the practice of a bodhisattva. Three spheres. What are three spheres? One, the person, the object. The object. Number two, you as a subject. Number three, what connects the two? What connects the two? The action. The subject, object, and the action. These are the three spheres. These spheres. And these three, we see them as independently real. These three are seen as independently real, independent from each other. But the reality is that these three are mutually dependent. Without the object, without this object, your irritation will not come. Subject will not, the subject, irritated subject will not happen. Without the irritated subject, the object cannot irritate. An act of irritation will not happen. And then without the act of irritation, even if the person is somewhere else, you are here and you don't know the presence of the person, cognition does not have the act of seeing the person is not there, then again, irritation doesn't happen and the other person is not your object of irritation. So these three are mutually dependent. Mutually dependent. There's no independent entity. So when you see that, and then that absence of independence of any of these three spheres, and that too on the non-conceptual level, not just even the conceptual level is very powerful to see the emptiness. Even the conceptual level is very powerful, and non-conceptual level, and of course, the non-conceptual. We talk about the non-conceptual. Many people use this word very often. Non-conceptual understood on two levels. One is simply the absence of discursiveness, discursive thoughts, meaning that your mind is distraction. Your mind is fully there without absence of discursiveness is also described as non-conceptual. And the real non-conceptual happens when we reach the third level, gate, para-gate. When you reach the third level, path of seeing, we talked about the five paths. The path of seeing, then the non-conceptual experience of emptiness comes. But even the conceptual which can be non-discursive. Even these can be extremely powerful, extremely powerful. And I would say that if you really get the true understanding of emptiness, of course, nothing to say. Even if it is just say, a cursory understanding of emptiness, very fundamental, very crude understanding of emptiness, very gross understanding of emptiness, even that is a tremendous power. So that is something. So equipped with skillful means and cultivating the wisdom of non-conceptualizing the three spheres is the practice of a bodhisattva. Okay. Now next, 31. Okay, finally, all these advice were given, and the author then now summarizes by saying what we should be doing. What we should be doing, you and me, all of us, what we should be doing. The advice is given. So advice given is that don't don't ever look for the faults of others. Look for the faults of yourself. Improve yourself. And the moment you keep looking at the faults of others, you don't put your mind inward, your self-centered attitude will grow, your self-grasping ignorance will grow, your compassion will diminish, and you will go into you keep accumulating negative karmas. 31. If you do not analyze your own faults, you might put on the dharmic facade while behaving in a non-dharmic way. Therefore, to continually analyze your own faults and then discarding them is the practice of a bodhisattva. This is so precious for us because the tendency is that we tend to be very judgmental of others. This is usually the problem. And yes, we are ordinary beings. We tend to have this tendency. So just see how to get rid of this tendency as much as possible. And particularly if you are with somebody who has this tendency, you also, this can be contagious. You can also acquire that, to judge on somebody else can be very easy. So therefore, we should be mindful of this particular this verse. If you do not analyze your own faults, you might put on the dharmic facade while behaving in a non-dharmic way. Therefore, to continually analyze your own faults and then discarding them is practice of bodhisattva. 32. If compelled by your own afflictions, you speak of the faults of other bodhisattvas, you yourself will degenerate. Therefore, never citing the faults of those who have entered the minor path is the practice of bodhisattva. 33. The desire for gain and services leads to mutual arguments. And then in the day-to-day life was a problem. Desire for gain and services leads to mutual arguments. And activities of listening, reflecting, and meditating decline. This is amazing. So where your desire for the sensual objects, when desire for sensual objects, when it increases, naturally the tendency to study, contemplate, meditate, we compromise on that. Therefore, to relinquish attachment to the household of friends, relatives, and benefactors is the practice of bodhisattva. Harsh, this is with respect to the physical, tangible things. Now with the words, harsh words disturb the minds of others and degenerate the bodhisattva's conduct. Therefore, to give up harsh and unpleasant speech towards others is a practice of a bodhisattva. Once you become now, so what do we do now? When the afflictions, there's a tendency for the afflictions, what should we do? Once you become accustomed to afflictions, they're hard to undermine with antidotes. Therefore, with the remedial weapons of mindfulness and introspection to forcefully eliminate afflictions such as attachment, the moment they arise is the practice of a bodhisattva. So meaning that first of all, we need to identify what is your strength and what are your weaknesses. But identify them so well. For example, some people may be, the tendency may be towards, the temper issue. Some people may be the tendency towards attachment. Some people may be tendency towards laziness. So whatever your weaknesses, what are your strengths, identify them so well. And then particularly with the weaknesses is not that you demonstrate it every moment. Once in a while you demonstrate these. So while, for example, like say the temper issue, it's not that 24 hours you have the temper issue. it may be within a single day, maybe you show anger like 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, and so forth. But there are times when you're not angry. When you're not angry, then be mindful of what you do. Okay, I tend to become very angry when I meet with such a situation. What should I be doing? So we should be mindful of these things. And oftentimes we also, what happens is that this is a major issue with most of us, particularly in the family and also in the workplace also. The major issue is that some small conflicts happen, not necessarily conflicts, some discussions happen where the disagreement happens, and then you try to justify that you are right. This is a major issue. The moment you try to justify that you are right, then the other person will not say, yes, you're right. Other person, unless person is so evolved, person will never say that you are right. The moment you justify in the peak of anger, heat of anger in both cases, when you say that I'm right, I did this because of this is this, other person will never say, yes, you're right. The person will justify his or her point. Then the two sides will escalate. So there, the first thing that they usually, when people come to me about the family issues and so forth, the and what I hear is I hear one side. I don't hear both sides. I hear only one side. But I I don't judge based on the one side information. You should, if possible, try to hear both. If not, you can represent the other side. Although you're not hearing, you're only hearing the other side is bad. You're not hearing that you're bad. You're not hearing that this person is bad, person A is bad. You are hearing only person B is bad because person A is narrating the story. So what I do is that I try to represent the person B, whose words I'm not hearing. So I tell the person A, what did you tell person B? Before the person B told you this, what did you tell person B? Okay, you said you blame the person B. Yes, no. Answer is yes. When you blame the person B, how can you expect the person B to tell you sorry or you are nice, you are right? No. When you blame, accuse, criticize, don't expect the person B to speak nicely of you. So you are saying that person B said this. Before the person B said this, what did you tell? What did you say to person B? So this is how I try to represent the person B standpoint. So to see the balance and then say that, tell the person A, never try to justify your standpoint at the peak of anger. When the other person's angry, you are angry, don't try to justify. The best thing is keep quiet without losing confidence. Let me repeat it. When you conflict with your family members or with your colleague, don't lose your confidence, but remain quiet. Silence speaks louder than your hundreds of words of accusation. Hundreds of words of accusation will just flare up. They will not do any good. Instead, silence while not losing your confidence. Because if you lose confidence, which means that you surrender. Don't surrender. If you surrender, the other person will provoke you even more. Maintain confidence, remain silent. The person will see your strength. Those people who speak, try to justify this is their weakness, it's not their strength. Whereas where you can speak, still you don't speak, remain silent, maintain confidence. This is something which only the strong people can do. So this is what you can do, and then our problems will be solved. Okay. So with this 35, the second last line, the third last line, to forcefully eliminate afflictions such as attachment, the moment they arise is the practice of a Bodhisattva. 36, in brief, wherever you are and whatever you do, always examine the state of your mind, continuously working for the welfare of others is the practice of Bodhisattva. So finally, the most important thing that we can keep in mind, don't forget this verse. In brief, wherever you are, whatever you do, always examine the state of your mind And there is, in fact, this is the wisdom of, this is coming from the Buddhist text, but even in the non-Buddhist texts, there are enormous amount of wisdom. So there's one, they say, I don't know, it comes from the very secular context where it says that before you utter a word, number one, before you utter a word, make sure that your words pass through three gates. If the words successfully goes through the three gates, then you can utter. Till that point, don't utter, because you can create more damage for yourself and unnecessarily damage others. So just see if it passes through three gates. First gate is that this word that I'm uttering, is it necessary? What I say, is it necessary? Number one, is it necessary? Number two, if you think that, oh no, it's not necessary, it's just utterance for my fun or whatever, don't speak, remain silent. It failed to enter the first gate. Second gate, is it accurate? What you said, is it true? If it is not true, don't say it. Don't say that is my point of view. Don't say that. If it's not true, don't say it. Number two. Number three, are you saying this based on compassion? If the compassion is there, if it's not, it's to feed your selfishness. Don't say this. You are harming yourself. You are feeding your selfishness. Your selfishness increases. It's not coming out of compassion. If your word, what you do to utter, if these words pass through these three gates successfully, then you can say, you'll grow, others will be benefited. So this is extremely important. This is not coming from I did not read it from the Buddhist text. I found it from a secular advice. Three gates. What is the first one? Is it necessary to say this? Number two, is it true? What are you saying? Is it true, or it does not tally with the reality? Number two. Number three, if it's not true, it is totally irresponsible. If it's not true, it's totally irresponsible. What you're saying is totally irresponsible. You are an irresponsible person. And people around you, they will see that you are a very irresponsible person, but you are saying something which is not true. Number three, is it based on your compassionate attitude? If it's not based on compassionate attitude, simply to feed your, say, the arrogance or fun and so forth, this is feeding your selfishness. It is not doing any justice. It's not doing any good for yourself, for others. So therefore, you are accumulating negative karmas. Okay, so this amazing advice here. 36. In brief, wherever you are and whatever you do, always examine the state of your mind with these three things. Continuously working for the welfare of others. In other words, out of compassion. Working for the welfare of others is the practice of Bodhisattva. 37. So finally, now the dedication. To dedicate the merits thus accumulated through these efforts towards enlightenment, with a wisdom free of concepts of the three spheres. Okay, look. To dedicate merits thus accumulated through these efforts towards enlightenment, meaning the bodhicitta may become enlightened for the benefit of sentient beings, with the help of the wisdom to see the emptiness, the wisdom free of concepts of three spheres, meaning to see the emptiness, the nature of the three things, the object, the subject, and the action. In order to eliminate the suffering for all infinite beings is the practice of a Bodhisattva. By relying on the words, okay, now finished. By relying on now the author expresses humility. So look, the great evolved beings, even they have to say something so good, still they assume humility, then don't boost their ego. By relying on the words of genuine masters, I explain the meaning taught in the sutras, tantras, and treatises. So nowadays, unfortunately, there are some people who promote many of the teachings of the Buddha, but not giving credit to the Buddha, not giving credit to it's also like they have their own, created their own, it's their own innovative thoughts. No, this is all copied, and yet they're not giving the credit. So actually, according to Western culture, this is plagiarism. And in Buddhist world, plagiarism is not an issue. What is the thing is that you want to copy, but at least give the credit. Give the credit, saying that it's coming from this source, from the Buddha's teachings, from Buddhist or Shantideva's teachings, so forth. You give the credit. And there's some people, there's one, the clinical psychologist. I truly, truly, truly have a deep respect for this lady, clinical psychologist, and who said that she learned Western psychology, did her PhD in Western psychology. And the finally, what she noticed is that the psychology that she learned, applied it in her clinic, it doesn't really work so effectively. And then she attended 6 month the course on Buddhist psychology, then applied this whatever she learned in 6 months to her clients, and it's so extremely effective. And so she said that there's an amazing treasure there, and yet people don't give credit to this. So she started to teach Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist psychology. She started to teach Buddhist and openly say that this is coming from the Buddhist teachings. Openly saying this. She said it's totally immoral. Totally immoral not to give the credit to the source from which you are taking out and then sharing. You have to cite the source. So this is what she said. So look, this great master, all these teachings are amazing, and yet he's giving the credit to his masters. By relying on the words of genuine masters, I explain the meanings taught in the sutras, tantras, and treatises in the form of these 37 prayers of a bodhisattva to benefit those who wish to train on the bodhisattva path. Because my intelligence, now expressing humility, because there's a tendency that when you say something so good, there's a tendency that arrogance can come. So to suppress that, expressing humility. Because my intelligence is less and my learning is meager, I lack linguistic skills to please the scholars. And these are not to be taken literally. So he's doing this just to tell us we should also learn how to be humble. Meager, I lack linguistic skills to please the scholars. Yet, since they are based on sutras and the teachings of the genuine masters, I believe these practices of Bodhisattva are flawless. Nevertheless, since the vastness of Bodhisattva conduct is difficult to fathom, by someone like me with an inferior intellect, I pray to the genuine masters to consider with patience all my flaws such as contradictions, incoherence, and so forth, by virtue of now the direction merit, by virtue of this the merit gathered here, and by the power of conventional and ultimate bodhicitta. Conventional bodhicitta means the altruistic intention. May I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, which we're talking about. This is the conventional bodhicitta. And the ultimate bodhicitta is the direct realization of emptiness, the wisdom direct realizing emptiness present in the minor practitioners. Let me say this once more. The ultimate bodhicitta is the wisdom which directly realizes emptiness, which is present in the Mayan Arya practitioners. Okay. By virtue of the merit gathered here, and by the power of the conventional ultimate bodhicitta, may all sentient beings become like the benefit of Avalokiteshvara. Okay, who dwells neither in the extreme samsara, nor in that of the solitary peace. Okay, so this is, I say, when you become a Buddha, when your Buddha nature manifests fully, what happens is that we talk about the middle way. So you are free from the middle way can be thought of in many ways. One is not to fall into nihilism, not to fall into absolutism. This is one way of understanding middle way with respect to the philosophy, with respect to the ultimate reality. Then with respect to our practice, the behavior. So say going to the extreme, going to say falling into the pain of samsara. Being in samsara is one extreme. Being in personal liberation is another extreme. Being samsara is one extreme, that nobody wants suffering. This is a problem, samsara. Another extreme is absolute peace for yourself, personal liberation. This is another problem. Whereas when you become a Buddha, you'll be free from both. Samsara, you'll get away from samsara because of the wisdom of emptiness. This wisdom of emptiness will help us to stay away from samsara. And you will also not fall in the extreme of the personal peace because of compassion. So compassion will save us from falling to the personal peace, and the wisdom of emptiness will protect us from the extreme of samsara. So this is known as the non-abiding nirvana. Non-abiding nirvana. Okay, in Tibetan we call it minebe nyangde. Nirvana is what everybody seeks. Shravakas seeks, Vedic Buddhas seek, the Bodhisattvas seek. But what the Bodhisattvas seek is not the personal nirvana, it is known as the non-abiding nirvana. What is non-abiding nirvana? Nirvana where the person does not abide in the two extremes. Extreme of samsara and extreme of personal peace. Okay. So this is a prayer. And when does that happen? Only when you become a Buddha. When you become Buddha, then you are freed from the two extremes. So non-abiding nirvana is the nirvana which is to be equated with the Buddhahood. Attainment Buddhahood. Buddhahood is the non-abiding nirvana. Okay, so we are done. And then the afternoon, I'm thinking of doing the two other important things. The first, I will do the Wheel of Life. Wheel of Life, which is in this book. Which page number is that? The Wheel of Life, anyone? Page number? Shrikant, which page? 328. 328. So we're going to learn this, the Wheel of Life, this afternoon, and tomorrow we have. So what I think is that tomorrow we'll have the two morning sessions. Then afternoon we'll go to the talk down, and then I would say most likely tomorrow the second session, morning second session, we will conclude by the morning second session. So that will do the soul offering then. Okay, yes, about the soul offering. Soul offering means, say, whenever we perform some programs or like the spiritual, religious, particularly with respect to your transformation, like important teachings and so forth, and the obstacles are bound to be there. So the fact that we're able to complete this, to give a clean completion of the program, is because of our merit. We have enough merit that this program is done. They're able to successfully come to an end. So therefore, it's because of the merit accumulation. It is like, for example, somebody who does not have the stamina, run for a marathon, just like 1 kilometer tired, stop, couldn't continue. Whereas somebody with the lot of energy or the stamina can complete like 60 kilometers, 100 kilometers easily. Likewise, this is all determined by what is known as accumulation of the merit. So Tsok means the accumulation merit. So at the end of the day, to accumulate even more merit for the future, the continuation of the Dharma practice in the future, we offer this talk. And one thing is that we connect ourselves with the Buddhist Bodhisattvas. This is the best way by which accumulate so much of energy, spiritual energy, within a short span of time. So in this connection, we do this talk offering. Talk means accumulation of the, say, physical, some edibles, good things, whatever you have, we offer. And mentally, it is your virtues, wisdom, compassion, and bodhicitta and so forth. These are things that we gather and connection with the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The more we do that, the more the energy is accumulated within us. So tomorrow's second session, we'll do the soul offering. And the first session, we'll do the last session. And if you have question answers, we will do it tomorrow morning. And actually, let's see, this afternoon, if you can do the Wheel of Life, plus, I don't know, I don't think we can finish the Wheel of Life. Then I'm thinking of doing the little bit about emptiness on what is known as the four essentials. Four essentials to establish emptiness. This is what we're going to do tomorrow morning. And then if you have questions, we'll do a little bit of question and answers. And then second session, we'll do the soul offering. It's going to be very brief. And then there's the end. Then afternoon, I'll go down. And if you're interested, we'll request the Jalatu to do the translation into English. So basically, they request they request me to give a talk on His Holiness's the four pillars, the four commitments of his life. So that is what they requested. I'm going to speak on these four things. Those interested, you can come. Okay. Deyata Om Egate Paragate Arasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. 무시 생일로 디 콘수마게 되었으나 되었나니 나한테는 막 뒤트는 꿈이 죽소난다. 그래. 그래서 아니 모두도 군수들이 지기를 콘서트했으나 나도